Captain America! The Winter Soldier. Probably the most conservative film you'll see all year. I mean, after all, he wears a red, white, and blue outfit. And his name is Captain America. It couldn't get more old-time American conservative than that. Or could it? You're watching CIN POL. Awesome character development. Fantastic action. Really interesting cinematography. But I'm not interested in any of that. What I care about most in a film is understanding its political orientation, whether it's a right-wing or a left-wing film. Most films you watch have an agenda, and they're trying to sell you a political idea, and I refuse to be a passive recipient of their agenda. So when I'm trying to discover whether a film is liberal or conservative, I try to do that by looking for hot-button social issues. In Captain America: The Winter Soldier, there are 3 main hot-button social issues which give us cues as to whether it's a conservative or a liberal film. The first hot-button social issue discussed in Captain America is women's involvement in the military. The second hot-button issue they discuss is human nature. And the third hot-button issue discussed in the film is its perspective on the military. So how does Captain America, the film, feel about women's involvement in the military? Well, to understand this, first we have to agree that on the left side of the political spectrum, politicians and citizens tend to want more involvement of women in the military. They believe that men and women should have equal opportunity to serve in the military if that's what their heart wants to do, even in a combative role. The new Captain America film is pretty clear on where it stands on this issue. In the midst of the action films we see being released today, it is politically correct to have at least one female in an action-oriented role in the midst of however many men you have in combative roles. Examples of this include Batman: The Dark Knight Rises, The Hobbit: The Desolation of Smaug, and Priest. Captain America: The Winter Soldier takes this to a whole new level. Now everyone knows that Scarlett Johansson gets a lot of action time in this film as Black Widow, but she's not the only woman in a combative role. There's also Kobe Smulders as Maria Hill, and Emily Van Camp as Sharon Carter, and they get a lot of action in this movie. And when you consider that the main males who have action roles in this film are Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson, Samuel Jackson as Nick Fury, and Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, that gives the ladies almost a 1-to-1 ratio when it comes to the action roles of this film, which is really high compared to what we're seeing in most of the films these days. So Captain America: The Winter Soldier is really pretty clear about where it stands in regard to women in the military. It believes and pushes on us the idea that even if you're a woman who weighs 90 or 60 pounds, you're able to throw a man over your head with incredible ease in using your martial arts moves because you are equally capable of serving in a militaristic role just like a man.
Engine room secure.
So we can see pretty clearly that Captain America lands on the left side when it comes to women serving in the military. But what about human nature? What does the film have to say about all of us? In order to understand that, we first have to agree that on the left side, liberals tend to have a lot of faith in human nature. They believe that people are basically good, and that if given the chance, people will do the right thing. Conservatives, on the other hand, are very pessimistic about human nature. They believe that people are basically bad, and that given the opportunity, they will choose to do the wrong thing most of the time. But what does the film have to say about this? To really understand what Captain America: The Winter Soldier has to say about human nature, we need to look at a certain element of the film. During the film, there's an elevator conversation which takes place between Nick Fury and Captain America. And Nick Fury is describing his grandfather's job. He said his grandfather used to be an elevator operator, and that while he was doing that job, he actually got really good tips, a lot of $1 bills, which he would fold up and put in his lunch bag. Captain America asked if Nick Fury's grandfather ever got mugged carrying all that money home each night. Nick Fury said that some people came to his grandfather and would ask, "Hey, what's in the bag?" And his grandfather would show them what's inside the bag. A bunch of crumpled up $1 bills and a .22 caliber handgun. Nick Fury summed up this part of the conversation by saying that his grandfather loved people, but that he did not trust them. This was stated as Nick Fury's justification for certain secrets and preemptive military measures which were intended to keep the nation safe. This is a significant conversation because later in the film, a similar conversation happens between Captain America and Black Widow. The lead up to this conversation, not to give away too much of the story, was that Captain America and Black Widow are on the run together. They're not really sure who they can trust. A lot of their friends have betrayed them, and they're trying to decide what to do next. During this conversation, Black Widow asks whether or not Captain America trusts her, and his response to her is that he does trust her now, and he would give his life into her hands because he believes she would do the right thing for him. But he doesn't stop there, because later on in the film, when he has an opportunity to become a whistleblower and tell the world the secrets that Nick Fury had been holding back from them, he does so in faith that people will take that truth and use it for the greater good, helping him to save the day. And in the film, they do. At the end of the day, Captain America is vindicated for trusting his friends, for trusting people, because he's able to use his trust and his friends to save the day. Nick Fury, on the other hand, who sided more with his grandfather on the issue, was forced at the end of the film to come around to Captain America's ideals in order to help save the day. Now, Captain America really lives out his creed. He doesn't just disagree with the idea of carrying a gun around to protect yourself because you don't trust people. He never does carry a gun. Okay, granted, he did have a gun a little bit in the first movie, and in the Avengers he shot an assault rifle for a little bit, but in the second movie, they dropped that idea altogether. He doesn't touch a gun once. That mentality is not there for Captain America. But he sure does love his shield, as much as a gun would have come in handy many times in the movie. Okay, so we've established that this film is liberal in that it has a really high level of trust in humanity, and it advocates that we give humanity a chance to demonstrate its level of trustworthiness. So in order to make a bad guy and a villain in this film, they needed to personify someone or some entity that did not trust people. They could have chosen anyone they wanted. They chose to vilify the military. Little spoiler alert here, because I do have to give away part of the plot in order to explain what I'm talking about here, but I'm not giving away that much because most of it can be shown within the trailer itself. In the movie, S.H.I.E.L.D. represents the military, and S.H.I.E.L.D. in this film is building these fantastic aircraft carriers that can actually fly. It's building 3 of them, and these aircraft carriers are super, super powerful. In the film, those aircraft carriers are hijacked, essentially, by the bad guys, and they are going to be used to kill everyone that the bad guys do not trust. Captain America needs to save the day. However, he does so not simply by saving the aircraft carriers and redeeming them for a better purpose. He chooses to completely destroy the aircraft carriers in order to save the day and the people they would have killed. Just like Captain America said himself in the trailers.
Everything goes.
And that includes the military. And by the end of the film, we see the military being decimated. We see these incredibly huge aircraft carriers in the sky being destroyed. And it's celebrated. It's a moment of great victory. It's Captain America's moment to shine, and everybody's clapping and so excited that people have been saved and that the military has been stopped. Now, this is in a way fairly apropos if the film's going to be a liberal film, because the military does have a tendency to act first and ask questions later. It doesn't trust people to be good, it expects them to be bad, and it tends to take action quickly. Liberals don't always like that. They want to give diplomacy a really good chance. They want to get in there and talk with people, try to work things out peacefully, and give a really big chance to diplomacy. Conservatives, on the other hand, don't want to take that risk. So the film vilifies the military by saying it doesn't trust people enough, it puts people in danger, and it needs to be shrunk. And so, when the military is dramatically shrunk by the end of the film, it's very celebrated, and Captain America is celebrated for having trusted people in order to make that happen. He believed in human nature, and it saved the day. In case you're still doubting me and believe that Captain America is the most staunch, patriotic, conservative film you've ever seen, I mean, after all, as I said in the beginning, he does wear an American flag for a costume, practically. Consider this. Even since the very first film, Captain America has not been a patriotic symbol. Captain America, in the first film, only uses his title, Captain America, one time. And when he says his name, he's doing so in the first film to a bunch of prisoners that he's saving. They ask, "Good grief, who are you?" And he looks down to them and he says, "I'm Captain America." And he does so with great hesitation. He does so with great reserve, almost embarrassment at the fact that that's who he is. And he doesn't say it again. In the second film, he doesn't say it again either. Not one time in the entire movie does Captain America use the word America. That is intentional. The film Captain America, The Winter Soldier, is not an American film, and it is not a patriotic film. So as you go out and you watch this interesting, exciting film, I urge you not to be a passive recipient of the subliminal messaging of the film. Instead, think critically about the film. Think for yourself.